Alright, so this first part again, we're going to talk about the program and look at a few things. Okay, your second program, which is due this next weekend, correct?
Sunday.
Sunday? Okay. Requires a couple methods. Requires draw square and draw blocks. Okay. Draw square is in your book. Does anyone know where it is? Can someone help me find it?
Page 30.
Page.
Copy of 34.
Oh, 34?
Yeah, Eastern version's on 34.
Make up my mind. 34.
That's for the I in range 4.
Okay. Oh, this is the one with the loop. That's why. Okay. But draw square is in your book. Now, if you know anything about me, I really don't normally assign something that's in your book. So I made you use this, plus you have to modify it a little bit. Okay? That's what we're going to do today. We're gonna right now at least, we're going to play with this a little bit. Okay? Every example in this book works. I would so highly recommend you all type them all in. Okay? You know, way back when I was in Zweibrücken, Germany, at obviously an Air Force base, I learned DOS. Y'all remember DOS?
Yeah.
DOS 622 or DOS, it was way before Windows. The way I learned it was I bought a book. Back then the books weighed about 50 pounds. They were 700 pages. And the way I learned it was, my brother-in-law at the time, we went to the BX, and he knew everything about computers. So we went there, and they had the Tandy computers back then. And I said, oh, I don't know anything about computers. Show me something. So he goes, well, there's something you can... So he started playing around, didn't know what the heck he was doing. So I'm like, wow, you don't know a lot. So I wanted to learn. So I got this DOS book. And I took it home. And I had it, and I bought a computer, just a cheap one. $3,000, cheap one. Back then, that's what they cost. But the way I learned it was I went through the entire book. If it said type format C:, I did format C:, and computer's gone. Then I reinstall. But that's how I did it. If it said do something, I did it. So you guys need to do that. You need to take this book, has a draw square method, then do the draw square method. I'm not going to walk through them all, but you should. They say for every hour in the classroom, you should be spending 3 hours outside. So you're spending basically 2.5 hours per week here. That's what, 8 hours or so you should be spending at home.
That's every week.
Every week. Okay. I just got done grading assignments today. Not for this class, but an assignment that I told the students took me 80 hours. Because I did it multiple times to make sure I really understood it. Because when I did it. But I had a student said, well, I can only spare 2.5 hours. Well, if it took me 80, he expected to finish it in 2.5. Didn't quite work out so well for him. Alright, so I'm just going to type in draw square. I want to get this thing to work. Okay? So up in Python here, if I can make it so it fits on the screen, but not huge. So has everybody at least played with Python a little bit? I mean, you recognize this. At least if you could pick it out of a lineup, you could say, ooh, that's Python. Okay. So I'm going to make a new file. Hopefully all of you are doing this for your programs, and I'm making mine so you can see it on the screen. I'm going to type in this draw square. Okay? df draw square. Okay. Now, I like to put in both parentheses initially. Okay? Then go back and put the arguments in there. The reason for that is if you put in the first parenthesis and start putting the arguments, you might forget the second one. And there's a lot of times people have an issue. You got to have matching parentheses, matching braces, matching whatevers. So, okay, then I'm going to put in my turtle side length. Okay, that's what's called a method header. That's all it is. Okay, that's basically the name of the method.
Does the space matter after you define it?
No, it does not actually. Spacing does not matter for the most part. There is a place where it matters, which we'll see here in a second. But right, so far it doesn't matter. Now, when I hit enter, you'll notice it automatically indented the next line. That's where spacing matters. That's how it forms code blocks. I in range 4. Okay, remember we talked about this a couple times. This basically is making a loop that's going to do something how many times? 4 times. I, the letter there, is going to have values. Each time it runs, I is going to be incremented. So what are the values of I?
It could be anything.
No, for this specific loop, what are they going to be?
4.
0, 1, 2, 3 is going to go 4 times, but the values are going to be 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay? I just want to make sure it's actually doing that. So I want to see that. So I'm going to just tell it to print I. Okay? So it should, on my screen, print 0, 1, 2, 3. All agree? Okay. So that's where I'm going to stop at the moment. Now, you'll notice when I hit enter, it's still indented underneath the for loop. Okay? Which means I'm still in the code block for that. To get out of it, just hit enter again, or you can actually hit backspace all the way over to the beginning. So this for stuff is all indented under draw square. This print is indented under the for. Okay? Now, I want to run this. You guys have to run this method in your program. Okay? Now the question was asked to me, how come I'm making you guys do it all in one file? Tell you the truth, it's to make it easier for you. And it's also make it easier for me. That way I don't have to set the path when I run your program. Remember that OS, change working directory and all that? If it's all in the same file, it's just going to work. Just trust me, it's going to work. Okay. So to make this work, rather than importing draw square and all that, I can just call it. I can say draw square, but I have to pass it something. I have to pass it. Actually, I'm going to change mine real quick. Let's all just change it. We'll just put nothing in there for now. Just nothing in there for now. I don't want nothing in the parentheses at the top. We're going to go back and put the turtle back in there. But a big issue, or not a big issue, another issue I see with people is when they write programs, they write the entire program, then hit compile. Okay? I don't know if I mentioned that in this class, but that's a very bad idea. Has anyone ever had a house built? No one in here? It's a very it sucks. It does. It's because you're checking on it every day. I had mine built. They started about Thanksgiving time. Well, when it got near Christmas, like the mid-December, it was like a ghost town until the second week in January. I'm like, come on, get building. It's just sitting here collecting dust. But when they built my house, they have inspections. They have the framing inspection, the plumbing inspection, the electrical inspection. There's a reason for that. My living room is very large. And when they framed it in, they didn't have enough support on the top. So the framing inspector came out and said, no, not good enough. Because the span of the living room was too high, it could collapse. So the builder had to go back at that point and fix it. Can you imagine if they didn't check that? Right. Or what if they didn't do the electrical inspection or the plumbing inspection? So the whole point about programming is run it multiple times. Write something and run it. Don't write the entire program then hit compile. It's kind of like building your entire house. There's no water. Oh, forgot plumbing. Sorry, too late now. Get a bucket. You can see that happening. So now I'm going to save this file. I'm going to save it on my desktop. I'm going to call it Ken. No, I'm not, because I already have one of those. I'll just call it Chap2Help. Okay? And that's just on my desktop in my script programming directory. So I have a method, then I'm calling the method. Now to run this, you can click on Run and get down to Run Module or just hit F5. So you see what happened when I ran that? When I ran this code by hitting F5, let me do it again. What it does is my Python shell, that means is Python's running. It's running right there in that window. When I hit F5, it restarts Python, and it does whatever you tell it. In our draw square method, we just tell it for I in range 4, print I. So we just wanted to print the values of I. So now we really know what the value of I is. Everybody understand the value of I? Okay. So let's go back. Now at least we got something working. We got a method created correctly. We have a call to that method created correctly. Now we got to go back and put my turtle back in. Actually, I'm just going to put in my turtle. I'm just going to put in one thing. Okay? We're going to fix this in a minute. But now, so that means since I added my turtle as an argument to the method, obviously the call to that method needs to have something in here. Do y'all agree? There has to be the same number of arguments, and they all must be the same type in the same order. Okay, so I need to pass it a turtle. Well, I like T for turtle. So will this work this way? What do you think? Now I have an argument in my method at the top, and I'm passing a T.
T is not being recognized.
Right, I didn't tell what the heck T is. If I go to run this, okay to save it, yes. It's going to say, what the heck is T? I mean, it tells you. So what I recommend is when you're writing these programs, write a little bit of time, fix the errors. Okay, forgot to define T. So what is T? T is obviously going to be a turtle, because that's what we're importing up there. So T equals turtle dot turtle. Turtle. Good? Now T is defined. Well, run now. Let's try it. Nope, don't have a clue what turtle is.
Got to import.
Got to import turtle. So you see we're fixing this as we go. So before I can use turtle, I need to tell it, hey, import turtle. That means take the functionality of the turtle module, bring it into my program. So my program just now got a lot smarter. Remember Matrix, when he would just learn something new, they would upload a new something to his brain? We just uploaded turtle to our program. So it just got a whole bunch smarter. We can import math, we can import random, we can import turtle, we can import whatever. Now, wouldn't it have been easier if Python already had turtle built into it? But do we need it? I mean, do you think the main purpose of Python is to draw squares and stuff on the screen? No. So what they did is someone made a module for it, said this is something cool you could bring in, but you know, most people aren't going to use it. So they really only add the functionality that's used a lot. Print is automatically there, because everybody wants to print. So that's already built in. You need to import it. So, all right. So now let's try it. F5. Okay, it restarted. Now I have the turtle graphics window. So does it work correctly so far? Okay. All right. Doesn't do much. We brought up this window, and we put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the screen. All right. Now we need to add side length. Okay. And over here, I'm going to call it SL. No, that's not. SL for side length. It doesn't matter what I call it. Okay, as long as you're consistent in the method. So I'm going to try to run this again. Remember, I added the method. I added the argument to the method header. Now it's going to be like, okay, brought up my window, but something happened down here. Now it says draw square T. It says draw square is missing one required argument right here. Draw square is missing one required argument, SL. So in other words, my method header for draw square has two arguments, my turtle and SL. My call to draw square has one argument. You see how they don't line up? So we need to add another one. Well, I'm just going to add the number 50. I'm just going to put a number in. You guys have to get input for that. Okay, but we're just going to put a number in there. So now do we line up? Now we have a method call with two arguments, a turtle and an integer. Now we have a method declaration with two arguments, a turtle and an integer. Okay? So let's see if it runs. Okay, to save, we get our turtle window and it prints 1, 2, 3, or 0, 1, 2, 3. So it does work. Does everybody see how we're making progress on this? Okay. Hopefully everybody's following along, or at least is way beyond me. Okay. We need to finish this thing. Now, we know this print I works because we can see it on the screen over here. And the whole point of that is when you're writing these things, do stuff like that so you can know, aha, the print statement, or at least the for loop, is correct. Okay? So now we're going to remove it and put in my turtle dot forward, and I'm going to go side length. You know what? I want to save typing. I'm going to rename my turtle to I'll just put big T. That sounds good. Just big T. The whole point of that is so you know the names just have to match in the methods, but it really doesn't matter what you call it. If I change it in one place, I got to change it in the other. So I'm going to try to run this. You'll notice I run this thing a lot. Aha! My turtle moved forward. How far did it move? Let's look. It moved forward for the side length. Side length is 50. So he moved forward 50. So far, so good? Everybody with me? Okay. Okay, this next part says my turtle.write. My turtle.write 90. Look good? But it shows my turtle on the book. Let's try it anyway. It might work. It just might. Whoa. Got a problem. It's saying name my turtle is not defined. Well, it's in the book. But since I changed it from my turtle to T, I need to be consistent. Change it in one place, got to change it in all the places. Okay? I'm doing a lot of these errors so you can hopefully understand, because you're going to have the same errors. Okay, yesterday I wrote an index sequences program in Python. What was I messing on that thing for an hour? It's just because I was using modulus 26 instead of minus 65. It was one of those things I couldn't see the forest through the trees kind of thing. It's like, what am I doing wrong? Finally figured it out. Okay, so let's see if it works now. Ah, F square. Nice. All right. I mentioned my red and blue car thing. Let's talk about the red and blue car for a second. If I was going to run over to Hudeberg over here, I'm not a salesman for Hudeberg, trust me. I bought a lot of cars there, but their service sucks. I mean, when buying a car, I went over there. We wanted to buy a Bonneville SSCI a few years back. I'm like, we want to buy this car. He's like, all right, there's something right there. Take a look at it. I'll be back. So we're looking. Because, you know, when I go shopping, I'll go in a t-shirt and a pair of ripped jeans or shorts or something. Doesn't look like I got any money. The dude would not sell me the car. It was like, what the heck? And I went to the Toyota dealer to buy the Toyota Camry a few years back. I want this Camry for this price. Nope, can't do it. I says, why not? So I went down to Norma and said, I want to buy the Camry that's a Hudeberg. They have the exact one I want. They said, not a problem. So they sold it to me for the exact same price. They went and picked it up at Hudeberg and sold it to me. It was Hudeberg just did one deal. But point is, when you're going to go buy a car, like I have a Chevy Volt out there, a silver one. Okay. When I bought it, they didn't have it in stock. All they had was a white one with no options. See, years ago, I bought a pickup truck from them. I wanted a base model with nothing in it. Does anyone buy cars like that? I'm assuming somebody does. Well, they didn't have it in stock. All they had was the one with all the bells and whistles. They said, you know what? We want to get the sale, so we're going to do all the paperwork tonight. We're going to go get it tonight. We're going to give you a loaner. Bring it back to when we'll swap out and give you your truck. So they gave me one with every option. I swear I didn't get 5 miles down the road. I was calling, dude, no, dude, cancel my order. I want all this stuff. I was like at everything. So when I bought my Chevy Volt, they didn't have the one I wanted. So I ordered a silver one with all the options. Well, that's what I got. But can you imagine if they gave me a blue one with no leather seats? Was that what I asked for? No. My point on the program is the requirements are very important. I specifically tell you certain things. Like draw a square. If you'll notice, that looks just like our draw square. It receives a turtle, receives a link to side. That's what the book has in it. Like I said at the beginning, though, I don't like assigning stuff directly out of the book, because then that's basically a typing class. Can you just copy from the book? I want you to modify it a little. So Cameron wrote this the first time, but he was giving me the red car instead of the blue car. No, it's not what I asked for. He says, Cameron, where's your arguments? He's like, but it works fine. I'm like, but I want the blue car. So by the time he was done, he had a very nice blue car, so it was good. So my point is, follow them. I had a student a couple years ago who a program had to do something. I forget what it was at this point. But his program did all this other stuff, but not what I wanted. So I gave him a bad grade. And he's like, I don't understand. He goes, my program was so cool. He says, the whole point of this is to have fun. He says, but you got to at least follow the requirements. You order the blue car, you want the blue car. He gave me a purple car with neon dots or something. It was not even close to what I wanted. So, draw a square, you need to modify it. So what you would do is you go in here and you would add two more arguments. Okay? So we would need an x coordinate and a y coordinate. X, y. There, I added them. No, I'm not writing your entire program for you. Trust me. I'm just giving you some assistance to get started. So, since I added two more arguments up here, what do I have to do?
Add them down.
I have to add them down here on the call. I'm going to give it 0, 0. I'm not doing anything with them at this moment. I'm just passing the zeros to the x and the 0 to the y.
Again, does spacing still matter?
No. Watch, I will leave that space off there. Okay? No problem. Okay. Spacing really doesn't matter. It does in a few places, but not very many. So, you'll notice, see, the reason I like space just makes it easier to read. You know, I put it in some places, not in others. But so there, we modified the draw square method to do that. Okay? So far so good? Everybody following along? Yet I'm not giving you everything you need here. But, yeah, I would. But see, when I first started teaching programming, I was teaching a C class at Park University on Tinker. I caught these two guys cheating. I mean, they turned in the exact program. And I was new at teaching. I'm like, I caught somebody. So I gave him a 0. And this one guy threw a fit. He's like, I didn't cheat. I'm like, yes, you did. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. I says, your program is exactly identical to his. So I had a meeting. And the guy goes, you know, he listened to my whole spiel about plagiarism and all. And he goes, you know, but he goes, to tell you the truth, you gave me that program. I'm like, what? I gave him such detailed notes during the class, I wrote the entire program for them. He did. He literally brought up the notes I gave him. And he goes, see this part of the program? It's right here. See this part of the program? It's right here. I wrote the entire program. I'm like, oh, crap. So I said, yeah, well, yeah, you still shouldn't have turned in my work, but still, it was, you know, he just used it off my notes. So that's why I'm not giving the entire thing. Okay, so it was like, wow. Okay, but we are going to make another method. I want to make a method. I want to call it times. Like times, T-I-M-E-S. So I'm going to call it defined times. Okay. What defined times is going to do is it's going to do something sometimes. Kind of like print the number of blocks you need, maybe. So, do you think this needs to receive something? Probably the number of times, maybe. How about, I'll call it num times. Okay? Now what I want it to do is I want times to call draw square. So I'm going to take this right here and move it. Can I do it in? No, I can't. Darn it. You can't drag and drop in here. I'm going to cut that out and put that up there. See what I did? So now times is going to call draw square. Everybody following along with what I'm doing? What I did is down here at the bottom, I took out draw square, the call to draw square, and I moved it up here under times. What? What's it do? You're going to see in 1 second what it's going to do. So I'm going to run it. So now if I actually run this, what do you think is going to happen? Anybody? I bet not a darn thing. Let's try it. I was right. Doesn't do nothing. Why doesn't it do anything?
Because you didn't fill in T, the target's not, whatever, it's not recognizing it because you called it before it can actually recognize the T.
Basically, I defined my turtle, but didn't do anything with it. Yeah, that's kind of what you're going after there. So now I'm going to call it times. I want to do this 5 times. So what's happening is I'm defining a turtle, then I'm calling times, passing it to number 5. Okay? So number 5 is coming up here, and I'm drawing a square. So what's it going to do? Anybody? Will it draw 5 squares? What do you think?
In the same position.
Okay, we got 5 squares in the same position. What do you think? Anyone else? 1 square.
It's not going to do anything.
Oh, wow, we got one.
Okay, out of the 3 choices, one of them is correct.
Correct.
It's going to draw 1 square. Okay, the reason is I passed it 5. I received 5. What did I do with 5?
5 times around one spot.
But I didn't tell it. See, num times is not doing anything. I need to put a for loop or something to draw the squares. Okay? So I'm going to go down here and put my for loop. For x in range, reg. Then I'm going to indent draw squares. Now it's going to do something.
How come when I did it with mine didn't actually do anything?
Did you add times 5 at the bottom? Hold on, let me come look real quick. Yeah, that's exactly. Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, of course.
You go down here,
Draw a square.
and here, and here, and you
Yeah,
go
it should.
slide.
Oh, here were the equal sign. You're right. I didn't see it. Now do it. There you go. Sorry about that. You even mentioned I didn't see it. Okay, so now we got times 5. What his problem was, he had this. That won't work. Don't put equal sign there. I didn't catch it initially. So now we're receiving that 5, and then we're doing something for x. Now I changed I to x this time. Does it matter? No. It could be pony for all I care. For pony and 5, whatever. Okay. Now it's going to do something. So what's it going to do this time? Anybody? It's going to draw 5 squares in the same spot. Let's see. No, it's not even going to compile. Why? What am I missing? I'm missing a colon. Very good. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Isn't that special? Check this out. I'm gonna replace this 0 with x. Just because I can. Now watch what it does. Nothing. What? What?
Because you have anything change it.
It should have done it. Oh, duh. I know why I didn't do anything. I know I didn't do anything. Because I didn't do anything with it up here. And I can't do anything with that because it's your job. Sorry. I can't do anything with it. So I can't write your whole program for you because then I'll call you cheating. No, you'll be cheating off of me.
Included it.
Right. So, a little better idea of how to get started on this program. I mean, you can take this and modify it.
So, for the Y, you did the same thing for the X.
Right. You need. Now, I think in the requirement I said use set X and set Y.
Yes.
Where did I say it?
Right there.
Okay, set X and set. I'm fine if you want to use go-to as well. Just some positioning function. Okay? Because there's lots of them. When I looked at Cameron's, I'm like, that's totally different than mine. Because there's actually positioning actually comes into an array. But you can use go-to, you can use set X, set Y, whatever you want. Either one's fine with me. Okay? So there's many different ways to do it. So what's left to be done? First of all, we'd have to get input for how many blocks and the size. Okay? And then we'd have to do something with this X and Y thing. So you still have work to be done. But at least we've got some of it done. Just remember, you've got to do it little by little. Figure out why it's not working. Now, sometimes you can't compile after every line. But, like if I didn't have this line in here, it's not going to work so well because there's really nothing there. Okay? Sometimes you got to finish something before it'll do something. But, don't say. Okay. Let's see if I can make him go.
Faster.
Well, I could do faster. Let's do it 12 times. Four, 5, 6, 7. So it's working. So we see it's working. You can do everything from changing the background color to changing the pen width to lifting the pen up. You can do all kinds of stuff with this program. Okay? All right. So that's all I'm going to give you on program 2. I just wanted to give you. Now you notice it's all in the same file. That way you don't have to worry about any input paths or any import any any OS stuff. Put it all in one and just run it. And it just works so much better. All right, let me stop this recording.